Hello and welcome to Flannel Jammy's Farm. My name is Donna Ray and I'm delighted that you decided to join me here today. If you're new to my channel, this is a place where I talk about my love of cross stitch, sometimes my honeybees, sometimes my husband's kimchi, sometimes our dog, but mostly about my cross stitch. Today is Sunday, February 17th, 2019. Today is also a very special day. It is my 1-year FlossTube-iversary. 1 year ago today, I uploaded my very first FlossTube video. It has been an amazing year of you all welcoming me and embracing me into this community. It's been so much fun to make these videos and to show you my very slow and sloth-like progress on my stitching. But yet you've come along for the journey and you've made it such a joy. I thank you all so much. If you're returning to my channel, oh my goodness, you've come back. Thank you. I also want to thank you all. Recently, I went over 3,500 subscribers on this channel. That was a moonshot for me. I mean, 100 subscribers was a moonshot for me when I began this channel. So I'm humbled and I'm honored and thank you. That's all I can say is thank you. Thank you for your company and your smiles on this journey. All right, let's talk about what happened this week. This week was the monthly meetup of the Virginia Stitchers. We have a group that meets here in Virginia Beach the third Friday of every month at Providence Presbyterian Church. We meet from 1 until 4 in the afternoon. That way folks can get out before the really bad traffic hits. We had 12 needle women at this particular meetup, and it was delightful. So many smiles, some delicious sweet treats made by Sarah Tatum. She's Tatum Sarah on Instagram. So many wonderful stitches, beautiful show and tell pieces that everyone brought, and a little stitchy finishing tutorial from Kristen, who is Cow Stitcher on Instagram. This is a wonderful group of needle people who meet together once a month. I highly encourage you, if you are in Virginia on the third Friday of any month, contact us and come and stitch with us that Friday afternoon. It would be wonderful. If you live in Virginia, anywhere in Virginia, join us on our new Facebook group. It's Virginia Stitchers on Facebook, and we post our work and we share inspiration and we pose and answer questions. It's a wonderful place for needle people here in Virginia. So join us, we'd love it. Some time ago, I created 3 pin pillows for friends, very dear friends, as gifts. And finally, I was able to deliver those gifts to these darling friends, and so I can now share them with you. They're just 3 tiny little pillows, and each of the pillows features a motif from this chart. It's Peace to My Friend, a Quaker Sampler by Modern Folk Embroidery. And I chose 3 of the motifs to stitch up these 3 little pillows to gift to my friends. And I'm hoping that I have a photo or 2 to show you right here. I think they turned out pretty well. I'm not a Joy, our soft finisher at Dying to Stitch, and I'm not a Vanna, but I do a little finishing. I will tell you, many years ago when I first started sewing and finishing projects with linen or burlap, I was always petrified that I was not going to get the cut line straight and I was not going to get the sew line straight because of the weave of the fabric of linen and burlap. It would be blindingly obvious if one of those lines was crooked. And I always worried about it. And then I learned a little trick. Now I know you're all brilliant stitchers, but I thought I'd share this little tip for getting your cut line on the linen or burlap straight and then your sew line. It's really quick and easy. Here's a little video clip.
Hey everybody, I wanted to show you, you've probably already seen this, but this was kind of a new concept to me a few years ago, so I wanted to share it. I don't have a rotary cutter like Vanna and so many of our wonderful finishers do. So when I cut my fabric to make pin pillows or other finishes, I'm working with scissors. So how do I make sure my line is perfectly straight? Well, here I have a design, and you will probably see this after Christmas because this is a Christmas gift. So here I have a design that I've made that I want to make a pin pillow. And what I've done is I've counted out a certain number of stitches from the edge of my design, and I've reached my pin in, and I've pulled one horizontal thread up and I've pulled it out. So I just reach in and pull it out, and sometimes you have to take a little bit at a time and pick it out with your pin or your frogging tool, and that creates a straight line through the linen. And you can see I've done it to all four sides, and now I can cut on that very straight line to do my design. Let me show you really quickly on an edge here. Let's say I counted up so many, and this is where I wanted it to be. So I just reach in, pick that horizontal thread out, and I pull it. And you'll see here, see how it's pulled out on that side, and this side, since it's much more fabric over here, I will either cut and then pull some more, or maybe I can get it to pull all the way. Oh, I did! So there's that thread pulled all the way out, and now I have a straight line to cut. Just wanted to pass along that little tip in case you don't have a rotary cutter to make very straight lines when you're doing your finishes.
I know, super simple, right? And you probably all already know that. But for me, years ago, it was a revelation. And that's just the little technique I use every time I go to cut my linen. So, on to some goodies. First, let's talk FFOs, fully finished objects. In the autumn, I was able to travel with my husband to New England. We visited our daughter and her husband before they moved to Singapore. And I also got to meet up with my darling heart friend, Lynette. And it was a great time. We did a little shopping while we were together, and she took me to a store I'd never been to, full of all kinds of crafty goodness. And about that same time, I was just starting to stitch Boo Tree by the Primitive Hare. And I picked up this white pumpkin plaque while Lynette and I were shopping. And I thought, surely there's some way to finish Boo Tree using this. Well, finally, I've finished stitching, and I've fully finished Boo Tree. And here it is. And you'll see it's the white pumpkin plaque, and there's Boo Tree. So what I did is I took Boo Tree, the stitched piece, and laced it onto a piece of mat board. And then I took a second piece, a little bit larger, and I covered that piece with black homespun fabric. And what I did is I actually placed it on there on the diagonal. That way, you know, sometimes if you're trying to put a check or a stripe on a rectangular board and you're just not getting it on there right, and you have to try over and over to get it really straight. If you do it on the diagonal, no need to worry. It looks great. I brought the edges to the front that I knew the stitched piece would cover, so you've got these neat little folded tucks in each corner, which is just a nice little design element. So I sandwiched I'll get it in a minute, two torn homespun ties. That was a lot. In between the stitched fabric and the backing, okay? And sandwiched it right in between there. And then I took the ties. My husband had drilled 2 holes into the pumpkin for me. I took the ties and laced them through the holes and tied the piece right to the bottom of the pumpkin. And at the top of the pumpkin, I just tore some more of that homespun into slender strips and put a nice bow at the top of the pumpkin. And I think it just turned out really sweet. What do you think? I like it. Fully finished object. Woohoo! Now, I do have an FO, a finished object. It's not fully finished yet, but it is finished. Recently, Brandy at Every Home Needs a Gnome put up a design on her Etsy shop that I fell in love with, and it was just in time for Valentine's Day. So I purchased it and downloaded it. Here it is. It's called Heart in Hand by Every Home Needs a Gnome. And I loved the design, but I tend to like a little more prim colors. So I fussed around in my stash and I found some things that I think worked. I have a mystery piece of 32 count linen, and I pulled some Victorian motto threads, and I think it turned out really pretty. Friendship is the sweetest form of love. I really love this. The colors from Victorian motto are prim cherry red, which is the letters and the outline of the heart. The hand is done in pressed rose petals, and the inside of the heart is Indian rose blush. And I love it. I have no idea how I'm going to fully finish it yet, but Brandy, thank you. What a sweet design. All right, let's talk about my whips. Not all of them, of course. I've never shown you all of them, have I? Well, we don't want an 18-hour video. Anyway, here are some of the whips that I'm working on right now. I continue to be the very slowest stitcher on the Sally Spencer sampler from Birds of a Feather. I love this sampler so much, and yet I'm so slow. This was a stitch along with lots of friends, and everyone else I'm sure has probably forgotten about this piece at this point because they were finished so long ago. But I continue to plug along, and here's my progress. So since we were last together, I was able to complete 2 rows of the letters. I was having so much fun at the Virginia Stitchers meetup that the only thing I stitched in those 3 hours was this letter H. Anyway, Sally Spencer sampler, I love it. So I also pulled out a UFO, an unfinished object. A forgotten object? Who knows? A few years back, Paulette of Plum Street Samplers came out with the most gorgeous design. Blackberry House. And I know several of you have or are stitching on this currently. I bought it when it came out. I immediately bought the called for fabric and all the called for threads, and I even put a few stitches in. And I don't know if I was intimidated at that point by the 40 count linen, or I'm not sure what it was, but I put it down and I didn't go back to it. And the sad thing is, my husband even bought me the cabinet on the front here. So when I'm done stitching it, it'll go right in the front of this cabinet. So recently, like within the last week or so, I pulled it back out. I took out those stitches that I'd originally, there were maybe 10 stitches, I don't know, that I'd originally put in. And I started over again. And I've actually started at the bottom of the chart and I'm beginning to stitch this again. This is one of my goals for 2019, is to get this stitch done and in this incredibly beautiful cabinet. My husband and I, as we were talking about this stitch and about the cabinet, we both looked at each other and said, oh, we could put essential oils in that cabinet. So maybe that's what's going to happen. Anyway, I want to finish Blackberry House this year. I've had the patterns for a while, but I've just started Ginger Gerald's Stories of the North Part 1. I'm stitching it on 36 count weathered shingles from R&R Reproductions. And the interesting thing about these patterns, they're beautiful. Ginger Gerald, thank you so much. These little tiny blueberries and leaves, and the ones that will be in this area, are over 1. So the over 1 on 36 count, I may have grown some new gray hairs. But they're so darn cute. They're amazing. Oh my gosh. So I've got a quick start on this. I purchased the pattern and the Victorian motto threads, the needle minder, and the project bag were all a project pack from Caroline through her Evertote project bag company. And so it all matches together, and it's so much fun to pull it all out and just look so put together. Stories of the North, Part 1. So I also have a planned start. I want to stitch this one very, very soon. It's Plum Street Samplers, Miss Bingley's Library. Now, I'm a library girl. I was a library girl as a child. When I could walk through my town, I would walk to the library. And I loved my career in the public library system here in Virginia Beach. This chart had to be mine. Well, recently, my friend Sarah, who is Sarah Stitches It All on Instagram, and also part of our Virginia Stitchers group, she bought the chart, and I happened to be with her at Dying to Stitch, and I said, "Ooh, I have that design." And she bought the fabric, and I thought, oh. But I did go ahead and pull some of the threads. And Sarah, when we met up at Virginia Stitchers, she pulled out all of her called for threads and helped me choose some Victorian motto substitutions for a few of the called fors. So I'm going to be stitching this, Miss Bingley's Library, on a 40 count xJuDesign linen. And this is, the linen color is Roasted Nuts. And so here is the linen and the threads. I think it's going to be gorgeous, right? Oh, I can't wait. It's so scrumptious. And that kind of takes me into my shopping bags. I had really only ever stitched with R&R Reproductions linens. They're amazing. Number one, the quality is wonderful. The colors are perfectly saturated and not too variegated, and they're just stunning. And I love stitching on them. And Ginger Gerald had said, oh, well, I like to stitch on xJuDesign's linen. Well, I haven't ever stitched on any, so he sent me some, and of course I loved it. And I am now a proud member of the xJuDesign's Fabric of the Month Club. This was my first offering for January, and this, like I said, I chose 40 count, and I chose to get the more primitive colors. So this is Roasted Nuts. And these, Judith does a beautiful job, not only with the dyeing of the fabrics, but also she's just lovely. These come from Hungary. And I'm going to read you the little note that came along in my first one. Dear subscriber, welcome to the xJuDesign Fabric of the Month Club. I hope you will love all my hand-dyed fabrics, either bright or prim. But it is not only a fabric club. It's a little community of stitchers. You will find in every small package some extras, enjoy it. Happy stitching. Okay, so in this very first package, I received the xJuDesign Old Hungarian Cross-Stitch Patterns in a New Shape design carnations. And there's a whole series of these. And so she sent along carnations and also the threads to stitch it with. Oh my goodness, what a nice surprise in the mail. Judith, thank you so much. This was a great package, and I look forward to the fabrics to come. I also made 2 purchases from Beth at Heartstring Samplery. Beth has come out with 4 designs in a series she's calling Words to Live By. And they're precious. They're scriptures, so it's just words in black on fabric. $10 from the sale of each design purchased goes to a charity that Beth has chosen to associate with each chart. So I'm going to read you, for instance, I purchased Words to Live By Hope, and I'll read you what it says. $10 from your purchase of this chart will be donated directly to Preemptive Love Coalition, an organization that exists to facilitate the promotion and protection of human rights and the fostering of cultures of justice and mercy, the nurturing of civil society in developing countries to promote the discovery of indigenous resources and solutions to local challenges, the upgrading of various humanitarian infrastructures in developing countries, the immediate reduction of some of the residual effects of poverty in developing countries, and public education in the West concerning economic, social, political, and cultural issues in the developing world. Preemptive Love is a global movement of peacemakers, changing the way we engage the world's most polarizing conflicts by confronting fear with acts of love. So that's where $10 from each of these charts purchased goes to that organization. The next one that I purchased from Beth was Words to Live By Love. And this particular chart features the scriptures from 1 Corinthians 13. And this is what it says about the charity that's associated with this. $10 from your purchase of this chart will be donated directly to Cure International, an organization that is committed to healing for today, healing for tomorrow, and healing for eternity. The children they serve have conditions like clubfoot, bowed legs, cleft lips, untreated burns, and hydrocephalus. Without treatment, they would have little hope for a future. Many will die from their condition. That's why Cure exists. They operate charitable hospitals and programs in 26 countries worldwide, where patients experience the life-changing message of God's love for them, receiving surgical treatment regardless of gender, religion, or ethnicity. Words to Live By. So my hope is that I'll eventually get all 4 of these. Beth has told us that these 4 charts will be available only through her Etsy store. They won't be distributed because it's a charitable thing that she's doing. And she hopes to have them available forever. So at some point, maybe 3-4 years from now, if someone is watching this video, you should still be able to find Beth Twist, Heartstring Samplery, Words to Live By series. All right. Now, I bought 2 new project bags. I know I couldn't help myself. So, again, Brandy from Every Home Needs a Gnome. On a recent video, she introduced us to her mother, Teresa, who was making project bags, and then wanted Brandy to put them up in her Etsy store. And so, here's this petite little bag. It's adorable. I mean, it's really precious. It's a little woodland print. There's a little dragonfly zipper charm. And on the back, I mean, look, it's squirrel, owl, trees, mushrooms, fox. But it's also got this little Velcro pocket for like your scissors or threads or whatever right on the back. Oh my gosh, not only is this adorable, but it came with a needle minder. Brandy, this is perfect. Teresa, what a great job. Thank you. This is a sweet little project bag and I will treasure it. And then Obviously, my new enabler in life is Ginger Gerald, because he said, oh, you might want to look at Caroline's Etsy store for Evertote, because she's got a new bag set that I think you're going to love as a master gardener. So I went and looked. It was my downfall. So Caroline had a new set of bags in this unbelievable seed catalog print. Now, this is the time of year that all of us gardeners are poring over our seed catalogs and placing our orders and stocking our mailboxes for those seeds to arrive. Yeah, this was perfect. So, as always, Evertote bags are such high quality. This is a beautiful seed catalog print. Inside, look at that polka dot. Look at that polka dot. Oh my gosh. And then there's a little accessory bag to go with. Polka dot. Adorable. And then this was all wrapped in tissue and put into the mail, and a ribbon tied on it. And on the ribbon was this tiny little bee zipper charm. See that? Just a tiny little bee. Just precious. Caroline, thank you so much. If you haven't been to the Evertote website on Etsy, grab your credit card and go. All right, so that's my shopping bags. More than enough, correct? Oh my goodness. Friends, it has been wonderful to visit with you today. It's been such a treat to celebrate my 1-year FlossTube-iversary with all of you. The friendships I've made here, I treasure. The encouragement that you give, I so appreciate. Friends, as always, I invite each of you to be the grace and the kindness that you want to see in our world. Bye-bye.
If I just say the words, is that enough to make them true? If I just say